Hello and welcome to a little session I'm calling Put a Ring on It Pilates. You will need a yoga mat, a glass of water, a furry friend, perhaps a towel, and of course, a Pilates magic circle. If you don't have a magic circle, well, you can just imagine, because there have been studies done on the power of visualization, which is very beneficial to our mind and body. So whether your magic circle is real or a figment of your imagination, it's going to work either way. Come onto your mat on your back. Bending the knees, bring the feet hip width apart onto the mat and place your ring just behind your head. I call this the halo. So let's all become angels as we hold the edges of our magic circle. And not moving the upper body, but flexing the midsection to lift the upper body away from the floor, and inhale, place it back down. Your legs and your hips are unchanged, and the shape of your upper body is unchanged. It is the flexion of the midsection that is making any difference in the upper body. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, lower down. So this circle is just placing and locking our alignment into place. Once we've done 8 of these ab curls, we're going to stay at the top and pulse it out 8 times. Big exhale on the last one, all the air out, abdominals deepening more. And inhale, lower it down. Great. Let's take the ring off of around the head and float the legs up into a tabletop position. So we're going to do this next move 2 different ways, which is why I love the magic circle. So we're bringing the circle in between the legs to engage the inner thighs, squeezing in. Not right on the kneecaps, but just a little bit higher up the thigh. And you're going to squeeze the circle as you exhale and curl up. More muscle activation, more sensation. You're going to get more out of this exercise if you're using the magic circle. If you don't have a magic circle, you could use a pillow, a yoga block, anything that you can squeeze between your knees. Once you've done 8, we're going to stay up at the top for those 8 little pulses, deepening the squeeze of the circle. Big exhale on the last one, more flexion. And now let's do version 2, where we're going to place the legs inside the circle. Bending the knees, and now we're widening into the circle. So we're working those outer hips, those abductor muscles, hands behind the head, and widen the circle as we curl up. So working the opposite muscle group here when it comes to the hips and thighs. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, lower down. Try to keep the legs super still, other than the fact that they're widening with every exhale breath. Stay at the top and pulse it out. Widen, widen. Pulse a pulse. And that 8th pulse, all the air out. Reach the arms long to flex up a little higher. And let's take the circle and place it down by the ankles. So a little bit more precarious, more challenging. Avoid the ankle bone. Keep the width in the legs as you reach the arms overhead. Inhale, straighten the legs, and exhale, bend the knees and reach the arms towards a circle. The core is working to stay neutral. Do not arch the back, but stay nice and neutral. And if you want to add an ab curl here, when the arms reach down by the side, we're going to lift the head, neck, and shoulders, looking forward, drawing chin in as the knees bend in. And see if you can keep the head lifted as the arms and legs continue their choreography. If it bothers your neck, place the head down keep the breath connection. Think of the core and lower it down. Great, let's remove the circle and just stretch it out, shake out the knees, release the hip flexors, breathe in, breathe out, rock the legs from side to side, let go of any tightness or tension, and inhale, bend the knees. And then let's extend the legs to the sky and place a circle between the legs, avoiding that ankle bone. And I'm slightly rotating my legs outwards into an external or lateral rotation. And we're going to do a little move called the corkscrew. So keeping those legs straight, we're bringing them to the side and drawing a little arc down and around and over to the other side, back to the center, and then switching the direction. The palms are pressing down, the upper body is staying still. Exhale through that semicircle to the top and switch the other direction. Toes long. You could also flex the feet or keep the feet neutral. The hips are going to slightly move a little bit with the corkscrew. Now let's squeeze 8 times into the circle at the top, hands behind the head. And add a little ab curl here as you squeeze, squeeze, squeeze a circle. Inner thighs, pelvic floor, core engagement. Yay, congratulations. Let's stretch it out. Reach overhead, shake out the knees, breath in. Breath out. Flexing the feet, hip width apart. Circle right on top of the chest, arms straight up to the sky. I want you to squeeze into the circle as we roll up, sitting up nice and tall on top of the sitting bones. Tuck the tail, roll through the pelvis and back, and bring it down again. Squeeze into the circle, activate those arm muscles, chest muscles, core muscles, as we peel the upper spine, middle spine, sitting up tall at the top, and then exhale, rolling and reaching. So the circle is simply allowing us to connect to maybe different muscle groups or more muscle groups through these very familiar exercises. It allows your body a new experience with these regular exercises. And for these remaining roll-ups, we're going to keep the flexion in the spine. So flexing the feet, flexing the spine. We're going to look down and keep the spine rounded as we reach over those legs, point the toes, and then just pull that spine back down, melting into the mat. Reaching overhead into neutral, and then exhale, flexing up and over the legs. Inhale overhead, flex the feet, flex the spine, flex the abs, flex the hips. Lots of flexion. Good, reach, reach, reach. More reaching, more lengthening and elongation. And then let's take a nice, big, wide straddle with the legs, feet flexed, knees and toes pointing upwards, and reach the padded part of your ring down into the floor. The other padded part the hands are on top of, and this allows for a really generous stretch, really throughout the whole body. The arms, the chest, the inner thighs, the hamstrings, the lats, the shoulders. Check, 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 check. Great stretch. Okay, let's come into a seated position. And I absolutely am obsessed with using the circle for twisting because it really communicates how you should be doing all of your Pilates twist, all your twisting in general, but your Pilates twisting. So place a circle just where your bra strap is and let the arms relax in a hug-like position around the circle. Sit nice and tall, and as you exhale, you're going to let the trunk of your body initiate the move. You're going to exhale and twist without overusing your arms or your upper body. It's really generated from the midsection. Your legs relax, your hips stay as they are, and you exhale and do a twist. And you might actually feel like you're doing less of a twist because it is more contained and more correct in the core of your body. Exhale to twist without shrugging the shoulders. Inhale, tall, maintaining your posture. And you let the head and neck also follow along, looking from side to side. Lovely. And reach the circle forward for another forward fold, palms on top. So that twisting move, really excellent if you are doing any kind of twisting things like golf, baseball, the jive. Is that the one where you twist when you dance? You know what I'm trying to say. Okay, moving along now. We are going to do an excellent side lying series, placing your bottom leg on the inside of the circle and your top leg on the outer top part of the circle, coming down onto your elbow. Parallel legs, knees are forward, toes are forward. If you want, rest your head all the way down onto your shoulder. Alternatively, you can come up higher onto that bottom elbow. That will be the most difficult. I'm going to go down onto the elbow. There's a good reason for that. This is quite challenging. Flex your feet, stack your hips, and exhale. Activate that upper inner thigh by pressing down into the circle and slow release up with control. Exhale. It's not isolated just in the leg. It includes your core connection. Exhale, let your abdominals tighten as that inner thigh presses down into the circle, squeezing the circle. Inhale, release. So really let the work travel into the core with your exhale. Once you've done 8, you're going to keep your top leg on the circle and lift your bottom leg up towards the top leg. Couple inches up and down, and we're going to draw little circles inside the circle. It's getting cryptic. Circle inside the circle. 8 times, and then the other direction. Toes reaching long. And then moving from inner thigh to outer hip, back to the abductors, we're going to take the top leg inside the circle. So widen the legs to widen the circle, and then keep that width in the legs as we lift the circle away from the floor and lower it down. So we're using our outer leg, our outer hip, and our side body, keeping the tummy tight with your exhale, engage. Inhale, release. Got about 8 of these. 8 is the magical number. And hold at the top for, you guessed it, 8 little pulses. See if we can reach the bottom palm down, the top arm long, and come up, lift up and away from that bottom shoulder, that bottom elbow. Lift the legs, lift the circle, maybe look to the circle, balance, breathe, and a graceful release. Good job. Excellent. Now we just have to even it up on side number 2. Placing the bottom leg inside the circle, the top leg on the upper padding of the circle. Find the hips and shoulders, the frame of the body stacked on top of each other like you're right up against a wall, an imaginary wall in this case. And I like to come down to the elbow, propping my head up on my hand and my top hand pressing into the floor. Flex the feet and engage that top leg to press and squeeze down into the circle. Let the core participate. So feel something happening in your abdomen as you exhale, squeeze a circle, inhale. Make some effort releasing the circle. Don't just let the circle push the foot away. Let's create a little bit of resistance here. And now point the toes and lift that bottom leg up towards the top leg 8 times. Inner thigh, inner leg, pelvic floor, core. Draw circles inside the circle. without touching the circle for bonus points. 8 times one direction and reverse. And then place that bottom leg down as we rearrange our top leg inside the circle, pressing up. Keep the width between the legs, and let's lift the circle away from the floor, lower it down. It is a small move. Be very, 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 very careful to not lean back to lift the circle higher. It is not about how high the circle lifts. It is about your side body flexing, not your hip flexor flexing. Let's pulse it out at the top 8 times and then reach that bottom arm long, palm presses down, top arm reaches for the circle. Let's try to lift up and away from that bottom shoulder, that bottom elbow. Look to the circle, balance on the bottom hip. You can do it because you're a superhero. Great. Woohoo! Nice work and graceful release. Okay, dismounting from the side lying sequence, we're going to now maneuver ourselves into a prone position, coming right down onto our abdomen, stretching out the legs mat width apart or hip width apart behind us, and holding the padded edges of the ring. We're going to place the circle in front of us so that our elbows have a little bit of bend. We're going to move into a swan sequence. I love the circle for the swan. A couple different variations here. So keeping the elbows bent as we press the circle down and lift the heart up and forward, the arms straighten. Exhale to press up, inhale to lower down. Walk the circle another inch closer to come up another inch higher. So continue to stay here with the circle position, or if you want to kick it up a notch, place the padded part of the circle down so the hands come on top of the circle and you're pressing down into the circle as you lift the collarbone and chest up, looking over top of the circle at the top. Exhale up. Inhale, return down. This does put a little bit more range of motion in your shoulders, so it will depend on your shoulders whether you can do this version. If you are doing this version, just switch the hand that's on top for a few more swans. Try to peel the abdominals up and away with the head, neck, and chest. And you'll feel some work in those triceps as you press down firmly into the circle. Stay up at the top for a look over each shoulder. Back to the center, return it down. And then back to holding the padded edges of the circle as we exhale, lifting up with the legs and arms and hopefully the circle as well. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, extend the spine, but let's not forget about length and lengthening first and foremost. Not about how high, about how much you can reach and stretch. Elongate the spine and the limbs away from the center as you float up and return back down. See if you can stay here at the top and squeeze into the circle 8 times. You can do it. Pull the tummy in, make it a core move. And release. Woohoo! Yay, you're a rock star. Bend the knees like a rock star and sway side to side. Let it go. Shake it out. Breathe it in, back to the center, and then just kind of kicking the legs down and up. This is just a little release and let it go. It's going to be okay. Let's hold for a quadricep stretch. See if you can press the front of your hip down during this instead of popping up away from the floor. And don't be a breath holder. Nobody likes a breath holder. Keep the breath fluid, flowing, continuous, oxygenating those muscles. Switch sides and let it go. Groovy. And we're going to bring the palms underneath the shoulders and do a little swan lift up after all that swan work. Great stretch for the abdomen, looking to the sky, stretching through the neck, the jaw. And then pulling the abdominals up and in to lift the hips. Bring the knees underneath and let's sit back to the heels. A well-deserved child's pose or shell shape. Walk the hands in, round up through the spine, and let's do one of my favorite versions of the push-up. So just like when we did that seated twist, you're going to place the padded part of the circle in that bra strap area, the other padded part below underneath, and then your hands hip width apart. Now you might feel like you slightly need to soften your elbows a little bit more as we stretch the legs back into plank. As you inhale, the circle bends, and exhale, you press to the top. You have a little bit of support from your circle. Not a lot, but the psychological impact means that you can do perhaps 8 of these ring push-ups. Some things are easier when you have a ring. Inhale, bend, exhale, press, hold the plank for a moment at the top, and then let's child's pose it out with hands on top of the ring and see if the forehead can still make contact with the floor. As the hips sit back, the arms stretch forward. Find that dynamic range of motion. And I'm just kind of wiggling the shoulders side to side here, looking forward over top of the ring and coming into a seated position. I'm going to just use my towel to sit up on top. Gives me an extra inch of lift in that supporting hip. One knee folded forward, the other knee folded to the side and back. Feet flexed. And the ring is on the same side as the feet. Let's open up the opposite palm away from us. And we're going to arc up and over. And I want you to press down into the ring. Let's activate some muscles in our arm, in our lats, in our shoulder, through our hip. So you're going to experience this move a little bit differently using the circle because you're pressing down. You're creating a little bit of strength as you stretch. Exhale, press and reach overhead. And I'm adding a twist here, looking at the circle. Reach and reach and reach for that circle. Maybe touch the circle. Coming back into the side bend, looking to the sky, and back to center. Move the circle forward in front of the legs. And let's just take a forward bend over these legs. Press down into the circle. Breathe in, breathe out. And now take the circle away from the legs and let's reach long and over the circle. Exhale and reach. The circle provides an unstable surface, so we have to use more of our side body to return to the center, to reach over. And once we've done about 4 of those, we'll bring it back to the center. And we shall reorganize ourselves for side number 2. I like to just sit up on something, gives me a little extra room for my hips to soften and relax so that one hip is not lower than the other. And the circle is on the same side as the feet. So press down into that circle, palm press into circle as we arc that opposite arm, lots of space, sweeping up and overhead as we press down. A perfect balance of stretch and strength. Got about 4 of these. And with the last one, we're going to add that little rotation. from the trunk of our body, twisting and reaching and trying to touch the circle with both hands, opening it back up again and returning to center. Great. Let's bring the circle forward. Both hands on the top padded part. And we're just going to fold over those legs, pressing down into the circle. Exhale. Inhale, let's float up. And reaching the circle away from the legs. Let's sweep up and over. And return to the center. Feel the work in the side body. Feel some work in that bottom shoulder as it presses down into the circle. And return to the center. Let's do one more of these favorite straddle poses. Toes up. Reach the circle a little farther forward. Maybe this time we can let the forehead find a little connection to the earth. Just a thought, just a suggestion, doesn't have to happen. Inhale and exhale. Press into the circle to come right on up. And you've done it again because you're amazing. You're the best of the best. Yeah. Little dance move to celebrate how much you are the best, and good job, everybody. See you next time.